My name is Christina. I am a SDET, or Software Development Engineer in Test. You can also call me QA Engineer, Quality Automation Engineer. There are many names, but we are talking about the same thing, quality assurance. And today we're going to talk about interview questions that I was asked the most. So for this video, I came up with 10 most common interview questions. I'll share them with you and also I'll answer them for you. Number 1, tell me about yourself. This is, of course, the most common question, and by asking this, they do not expect to hear your history of working hours, the history of education. No, they want to know what the recent project you worked on and what skills you gained during this work period. So I would say I have decent experience in quality assurance. I worked more than 6 years in variety of companies, but my most recent project was project about telecommunication, and we created an amazing application. And what this application does is 1, 2, 3. What I personally did, I managed this team. I created this test plan. I created this number of test cases. Also, I led the team to create an automation for this. For my automation experience, we use Selenium, Java, Maven, and TestNG. So you describe variety of tools. And now you need to tell how this all you just described benefit your company. So they want to see the value in you. So you want to finish your tell me about yourself story about what you can bring to the company. So you can say, by utilizing my skills on this project, I saved my company time on testing this, and this. We performed regression testing, which was automated. And right now, instead of 3 days of 3 people having this testing manually, we can do it all in 3 hours by running our automation test cases. Or if we are talking about manual stuff, then you can say that you created amazing test plan, which leads different engineers who are not familiar with the project to know exactly what to do, and by executing those steps, they can perform this task in 1 day, for example. So you point out what exactly you did great and how it helped others in this company or in your project to succeed and make work easier and life better. Number 2, describe the difference between quality assurance and testing. That's a very good question because it means a lot if you do not understand the difference. First, let's talk about quality assurance. Probably if you was looking for a job in quality field and you just look for quality engineers like in internet and Indeed or ZipRecruiter, they all will bring you positions not for software engineer, but also manufacturing position, because quality is not about software only. It's about everything. When we create a product, either it's your phone or it's your bed, chair, application, they all need to have great quality. So quality assurance engineer is the one who stands for quality. So when we are talking about quality assurance, we are talking about something very big in general. It means that there's some established set of procedures in a company that will help to produce a quality product. Basically, it's a process in a company. And when we talk about testing, this is an action you perform to the application to test if there's any defect found on this application. So, to be short, quality assurance, it's a process established in a company to make quality products. And testing, it's an action performed to the program to find defects and wrong behavior. Number 3, documentation. I did get this question on every interview I had. And in different forms, some ask How important documentation for you? And other ask, what would you do if there is no documentation? But it's all about the same thing. What would you do if you have or not have documentation on your project or for the feature you are developing? So let's talk about this a little bit more. What does it mean having documentation for the project? It means that some probably technical writer put down all the important keys and specifications of the features you are going to test and developers are going to develop. So basically, you know exactly how this project, feature, or application will behave. You know what should happen every time you click this button, or where should it redirect you when you perform this action or complete this application, this form. So there's like so many different ways what could happen with application, and by having documentation, they all are written down for you. For tester, for quality assurance engineer, that's very important to have documentation. So for me, for many reasons. First, you can plan accordingly. You can create beautiful task plan and stick to it. By this, you can easily provide estimations on your work to complete when you have a test plan. Second, documentation is a great source for your test cases. This is where you'll gather the ideas of your test cases, and it will help you to execute. And also, third reason, least likely you will miss anything during your testing because you know what this feature does and what should not. So you will be confident that you tested maximum functionality you can possibly think of. That's good point. But what can we do if there is no documentation on a project? Well, I would answer first. I will talk to developer because he is the one who will be developing the feature. He knows the best what meaning should it have and what functionality should it perform, even if it doesn't do it yet, but he will be the one who will be creating this. So your developer is the best source to know how this should work. That's the first one. Next one, if you know, like if you talk to your manager or project manager, somebody who can describe you this feature or application, you can go online and search similar application, look what they do, just do your exploratory testing, and then come back to your application and see and ask yourself, should it do the same? Do we expect the same functionality here? So if this resolves the same problem as the application you just evaluated, then probably you know how to test it. You know how it should perform. That's the good side. What can you do else? Explore. If you join project in the middle, application is partially created or almost created, you need to test it, but you do not have any documentation, you do not have any previous experience or knowledge shared from previous tester. So just relax and explore. Perform exploratory testing, perform monkey testing, perform ad hoc testing, try to break it, do something unexpected, just learn by clicking here and there, and eventually you will understand how this works, and possibly you'll find so many defects on this stage already. But most important, if you do not have documentation, you need to learn the application first, and that should be your answer. How would you test without documentation? I will go and perform exploratory testing to learn the application, or I'll talk to developer and ask how this should work. Number 4, what would you do if developer cannot reproduce defect you sent to him? This question I got everywhere and multiple times and different forms, and this is the most interesting one because they really prove you having a real experience in the field, because this happens a lot. This happens almost every day at your work as a software engineer. So what I always answer. So there's few steps I can do to prevent this happening in a field. And you can start answering this question by this. First, I would go back to my defect. I will review it if it's clearly written, if it has both expected result and actual result, as well as steps to reproduce. That's important, so developer can go and repeat step by step what I did. I will repeat it myself to ensure the defects still exist, and I will write it down for my developer as thorough as possible. That's the first one. You ensure that your defect is nicely written, as much detailed as possible. Second one, you will put there in your defect description the operation system you're using, environment they're using, because in some projects there could be 3, 4, 5 different environments. That's the case. We might be reproducing defect on a different levels of application. That's important to be on the same page. That's the second one. Next one, you want to make sure that your defects could be reproducible multiple times. Sometimes there could be intermittent issue, which happens maybe 2 times out of 5 or like 3 times out of 10. So you want to reproduce it like 3, 4, 5 times in a row to make sure you get it consistently, and then you submit your defect to a developer. So that's another step you can do to just save yourself from this is happening. But then next, what you also do, you can connect with your developer, you can screen share, and you can show him what is happening. Like, hey, just look, I'm trying your best, I'm reproducing it here and there, and it's still happening. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Do not attack your developer like, hey, there's a defect, fix it. No, help him, help yourself, and help him to understand that you are guys on the same page. You are making quality product, so it's in his best interest to learn from you what could be wrong. So make yourself a friend and screen share and try to understand what's happening for both of you. Maybe you guys doing something different. And the last one, logs. There are some applications that you can install which could track your logs, or you can use dev tools to see how logs are connected, what is network response, what are you doing. But it depends where you're executing your test case. It's on mobile, on desktop app, or on web app. There are different applications that can track your logs and send them to developer right away. So use this, and you will be able to prove to your developer that you're not a monkey and you're trying to do a great job. Okay, that's how I would answer about what to do if developer can't reproduce your defect. Number 5, regression testing. My favorite one. What is regression testing and when do you perform regression testing? Answer is simple. Regression testing is the type of testing you perform after any change done to your code of the application. So it's easy. We have working application as of now. Developer is going to push something, no matter what. Is it change for design? Is it change for functionality? Is it service change, like for backend? We don't care what it is. We want to check that after his change is merged, then our application works exactly the same as we expect. Or if it's with any change, then we want to see that this change haven't break anything what it shouldn't break. So great. This is just type of testing to ensure we do not create more problems that we already have. Number 6, describe how do you communicate with developer and with a team on your current project. And this question could be answered in so many different ways, and honestly, there are no wrong answer because every team is different, every company is different. Some companies purchased very great and expensive communication tools and they use it internally for across all the employees. But some companies, like startups, they do not have extra money to purchase useless tools. They just communicate in Skype or whatever free application they can afford. Maybe it could be even a free version of Slack, up to, I guess, 10 people or something there. So you just tell what happened on your company. For example, in my current company, we use Microsoft Teams. That's kind of internal chat. We communicate. We also use emails. If I need to contact somebody and screen share, we will connect via Teams. Or previously, before we migrated to Teams, we used Skype for business. But in my previous company, we used Slack. That's very famous tool across any technology companies. So whatever tools you have used, you just describe them. There could be also a question related how exactly you communicated, but there's like nothing really talk about. I would say, hey, I can pin my developer in Teams asking when he has free time so we can schedule a call where I can screen share and show him a problem, or if I need some information from him, I can look in his calendar and see what is available for him today or tomorrow. And I'm not scheduling during lunchtime. Of course, I'm appreciating people free time and people personal time. So let's be nice and just respect it and try to schedule a time which will be convenient for both. Number 7, what tools do you use in your day-to-day activity as a QA engineer? And that's interesting because if you're a QA manual, then you use very limited set of tools. Of course, if you're automation engineer, there's like variety of what you can tell, but let's stick for you answering if you're a manual tester. So for manual testing, most of the time you will be using any communication tools like Teams, Skype, Slack. That will be your first answer, I would say. Next one, you have somewhere track your defects. So it's gonna be defect tracking system. In my previous companies, we used ALM, we use Jira, we use custom, the one my company created to track a defect, or we also used Excel spreadsheets like on Google Drive. There could be anything anywhere where you can log your defect and keep track of them. That's important. Another tool could be somewhere where you store your test cases or test plans. You can write them somewhere on your local, but eventually you will need to share them with your manager or stakeholders. So just think of the tools like document share tools. That could be like maybe Google Drive, Share Drive, or email, just simply as it is, emails. Another tool you use, it's specifically for testing. What do you use? If you collect any logs, then you can describe those tools, especially for mobile or for web. You can describe dev tools too. What else? You probably use some virtual machines, VirtualBox, for example, or simulators to see how your application looks on different devices, different resolutions. So that's another example what you can use. The most common, I guess, South Lab. So here are 5 perfect examples I gave you of tools you can describe on your day-to-day routine as a quality engineer. Next. Number 8. How would you test login form? Let's imagine you have very simple login form. You have username, password, and button, login button. So 3 different objects on your page. That's it, nothing else. How would you test them? So basically, asking this question, they're looking of your thinking. So your critical thinking as a tester. Experienced tester will simply identify at least 10 or 15 test cases for this form. Yes, it's super easy. But for you, let's break it down for pieces. First, let's take username. First, we need to confirm, is it its only username or its email form? Sometimes they accept both username and emails. And if it accepts emails, then we want to test full valid email. And then, like it contains dot, that's like minimum requirement for email, 3 characters, @sign, 2 characters, dot, 2 characters. So that's how you test email form. If it's just the regular username, it should it contain special characters, number, uppercase, lowercase. So we should know what are those requirements for username. In order to test it, we need to know how it works, whatever. There's a valid and invalid username. So how many digits, how many characters total it accepts. Usually it's around 250 characters for username or email. Here it is. There's so many test cases here. You can also leave it blank and see if there is any error message comes up. Password. Again, we know that for password, again, there's limitation, acceptable characters, not acceptable characters, number, uppercase, lowercase, and the limits. Or if you leave the password input field blank, what's gonna happen? If you leave both of them blank, what's gonna happen? So we're expecting of some kind of notification or error message or pop-up, hey, you leave this blank and should it be blank? Think about it. And login, how do you test login button? First, again, it's all related to previous one. Input field and click, then you fill it up, you leave another field is blank, the password will be blank, you click login, you fill up both, but with some other wrong items like password, wrong password, for example. You click login, you see if there's make anything, any actions, and then you finally make a happy pass. You enter valid username, valid password, and see if it redirects you somewhere or not. So that's at least, I just described you maybe 12 or 15 test cases just for these 3 objects on the page. Number 9, my least favorite question. Where you wanna be in 5 years? Or who you want to be in 5 years. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? All the same. I found a way how to answer this question without any guilt and feeling very good that I didn't fail in interview just because of this question. So what I usually say, I do not say the position I want to be at, but I say what I want to do as my day-to-day activities at work. So I always say, in 5 years, I want to be able to confidently lead several teams on their way to deliver successful quality product. I want to be an owner of great quality automation framework, which I'll build from the scratch, and my team will utilize it 100% for all the teams and products we use in the company. I want to be the one who make a real difference in how quality works in this company, how we deliver product, and how successful they are. So basically, I'm not saying directly, but I want to say that I want to be a great QA manager who will be leading different teams, working with different projects, and creating great automation that will cover and save time and money for the company. So you do not say, I want to be a QA manager in 5 years. You say what impact you want to bring in 5 years. So that's the way me personally, I answer this question. And finally, number 10, do you have any questions? Of course you do. Otherwise, if you do not ask them anything in the end, they'll think that you are either not interested in this position or you simply don't understand what this position is about. So you want to ask questions. And there are a few examples that I recommend. First, ask what is the ideal candidate for this role? That you can learn something that they are required, and you can learn the skill till the next interview in a different company. So basically, you make yourself better. Second question, what are tools and technologies they use in this company to perform quality testing, to perform quality assurance testing? So this will guide you that maybe something you need to learn before you start your first day in this company if they hire you, or they can simply say, we don't use any. And that's for you a great opportunity to chip in and bring something to this company. You can say like, hey, I use this tool. It's free, it's open source, but it brings a lot of value to day-to-day activities. So ask questions and you will show your interest to the interviewer. All right, that's it. That's 10 most common questions that me personally was asked during my long career of QA, and my answers are just mine. Do not take them if you don't like, or customize something by yourself, but you should not take it as a Bible. That's something just to guide you through your process of interviewing and help you to understand some points. If you have any questions, please write in comments below. And if you want me to answer any of your questions, I would be happy to. Just write them down and subscribe for this channel. We have a lot of useful stuff here. It was nice to see you. Bye bye.